housing crisis in California reaches a new high. One America's Allysia Britton takes a look at the issue.
It's called the Golden State because it doesn't come cheap. California's high cost of living is forcing people to live both on the streets and in their vehicles. In Los Angeles, more than 16,000 people reported living in their cars in 2019, according to a report by the Wall Street Journal.
This is an unprecedented crisis in LA. We have seen a 12 to 16% increase in Skid Row. We've seen an increase across the state, some 20, 35% increase, because the challenge for us is housing and the cost of housing in the state of California.
And up north in San Francisco, the cost of living is even higher.
In Los Angeles, it's $2,200 a month for a place to yourself, and $3,600 a month in San Francisco. And 40% of Americans can't afford a $400 emergency expense. 35% of millennials are living with their parents. I mean, what does all this stats tell you? It tells you that housing is unaffordable.
1,800 people reported living in their cars in San Francisco last year, a 45% jump from 2017. An additional 9,700 reported living on the streets, according to the city census. State officials say more people are turning to RVs rather than renting an apartment or buying a home. Trailers line the streets of Silicon Valley, home to the nation's most powerful tech companies. Those who live in RVs even include employees of companies like Google or Facebook. And while the issues of unaffordable housing has been talked about among lawmakers, residents say they are not seeing change.
So it's an ongoing and growing crisis until we can sustain the fundamentals of housing, mental health treatment, drug addiction, and the economic empowerment of individuals for employment.
It's an issue President Trump has held against his opponents during the duration of his presidency.
You see what's happening in California, where they just announced a plan to give free health care to illegal immigrants, when it should very well be used, all of that money, to provide housing and hospitalization and medical for the rising number of homeless people in the Democratic-run cities of Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Meanwhile, the Department of Housing and Urban Development does provide grants to hard-hit areas to contribute to relief efforts. Los Angeles County was granted about $139 million in 2018, and an LA Congresswoman, Maxine Waters, sponsored a bill to boost federal spending on homelessness by $13 billion over the next 10 years. Additionally, state leaders are working on a package of 8 proposals, which they say will lower home construction fees and, in turn, lower the cost of houses. Allysia Britton, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.